Alright, this is where it's at. This is where you fucking put your CD in right there. If you ain't got your CD in Angelo, you nothing. I don't give a fuck if you selling thousands. If you ain't got a motherfucking shit, Angelo's, if you ain't in that local section, or you ain't in that rap section, right there off of Ollie from Buckley, you ain't doing shit. And this is from 8 to Skate that said that shit. I'm a Triangle Office DVD. Yada.
It's Nyke Loc, the alligator out here representing with my boy 8 to Skate. Triangle offense. You know, I run that point guard position. It's the man, the myth, the legend, Nyke Nitty the Kid.
So on this episode right here, I'm gonna take y'all way back in time. I'm gonna take y'all back in time to when there was a place called Sam Goody, when there was a place called Media Play, when there was a place called Tower Records. Back in the day when you actually had to go to a store to get your music, there was no way that you could just get online and listen to the music that you really wanted to listen to. I mean, this time that I'm gonna take y'all back, don't get me wrong, the internet was there, but back when you wanted to download music on the internet, it took hours for you to download one song. In order to download that song and then put it on a CD player, you had to get a CDR, which was a CD or recording, a piece that went into your computer that recorded the CD, and that shit was hella expensive. Everybody couldn't afford that. Everybody couldn't even afford a computer back then. I mean, computers back in the day then was almost damn near as expensive as like a little bucket ass car. You know, they was $3 grand, somewhere in that ballpark. And you know, to be able to download the music, burn that shit, and then put it on there, like you really had to have some money. So it wasn't accessible for everybody, and everybody wasn't doing it. So you had to go to these places like Sam Goody, Tower Records, even Best Buy back in the day used to sell it. And for all my local Denver folks, y'all remember there was Angelo's, there was Sunshine, there was Spin Records on the east side that y'all could go get the music from, the local music alone at that. You know, they actually carried the local music. You couldn't get the local music all the time, you know, the Sam Goodies and so forth, but they did carry some. And you know, this is back in the day when music that was explicit, right, that had cuss words on it, you know, you would actually have to have an adult ID to buy that shit at some of these bigger chain stores. You know what I mean? You couldn't be underage buying music that cussed. But I'm really showing my age by doing this video right here. You know, your boy's a old school cat for sure, because I can tell you all about all this old school stuff right here. And I remember this era, and it was a good era though. It was definitely a good era because the music that came out this era, the sound of this music was unlike any other kind. You know what I mean? It wasn't like computer and digital like it is now, where everybody can get every sound. But like, you know, the music back then was really homegrown. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to that West Coast stuff. You know what I mean? And with Denver music being so influenced by the West Coast sound, you know what I mean, with the funk, the melodies and so forth. You know, it was a different time, but it was a great time to be alive, and it was a great time for music. So today we're gonna cover an artist that has helped pioneer Colorado hip hop as we know it. You know what I mean? And I don't think he get as much credit as he deserves, but he's still in the game to this day. And the artist we're gonna cover today is Nyke Loc, aka Nyke Nitty. And Nyke Loc is known as the Mile High Hitman because one of his first albums was called the Mile High Hitman. But Nyke Loc isn't from Denver, he's from Aurora. But if you know the part of Aurora that he come from, it's really the line between Denver and Aurora. You know what I mean? It's like it's a hop and a skip. You can go from Aurora right into Denver. You feel me? Boom, boom. You know what I mean? And it's my area as well. That's where I come from as well. I come from the Denver side though, rather than the Aurora side. But you know, at the end of the day, Nyke Loc has been in the game for over 30 plus years, and Nyke Loc has helped pioneer and still does help engineer the motherfucking music that comes out of Denver. Nyke Loc now is more known as Nyke Nitty on the slap. Tell him as a producer. But today we're gonna cover Nyke Loc, and we're gonna go over his first 3 albums. And he has a huge discography, and we'll cover a little bit of the discography, but he has so many albums I can't cover them all in this video right here. I just hope that this video, if you like the music, if you hear a little something, this inspires you to go look him up, research and listen to his music, because I can't focus on all of them, and I haven't actually even heard all of them because I was locked up for a good majority of them. But I'm gonna go over the ones that I was out for, because I was out when he first dropped his original classic, the Mile High Hitman, and then the Hit List, which came secondary. But let's go ahead and let's get into those real quick. Nyke Loc is originally from Aurora, but he actually was born in Oakland, to my knowledge, and moved out to Denver in 1990. Upon moving to Denver, he was influenced previously by Sibo and Spice One and that sound that was out at that time, that mob sound. Back in the day, around that time, you know, the Bay Area, the West Coast, they was really on top right there. And the Bay really had that mob sound, you know what I mean? The heavy bass, you know, the stuff that really would knock your trunk loose if you listen to it with some speakers in there, right? Upon moving to Denver, Nyke Loc was introduced to another few rappers, one of those being the rapper Dez and another rapper being Chill. Now, I'm not too familiar with Chill, but I'm familiar with Dez, and Dez is a very unique artist, and back in the day, he had a real distinct voice. I'll do a video on him down the road, but ultimately, Nyke Loc clicked up with them, and also I believe there was another rapper named Vamp Dogg who actually had moved out here from Sacramento. And the first appearance by Nyke Loc on the album comes from a Mile High classic called the No Coastline compilation. And on this album, this was the first time Nyke Loc had his own song on there, and the song was called Everyday Thing.
Woke up in the morning, 12 o'clock on the dizzot. Pockets on swole, cause all night I'm at the spizzot. Looking hella dirty, I rush to the mall. Grab a t-shirt, Levi's, and them Nike Cortez, y'all. Peep out the pager, let's see who was this paging. 634-977, they big buck baby. What up, nigga? What's the plan? What's the deal? I think I feel like clowning. Yo, pick me up from Capitol Hill. He ride by, he slide by to get me. On the way, I bumped into Max and Dada and Big C. With bruise in hand, a deuce to the face. Even a little bit of stress to the west, cause it's that season. Hop on the facts, headed for a roar. Gang T hella deep in the black 40 floor. Coco like a motherfucker, you know that nigga. Aurora city limits and them punk ass cops from Denver. So we keep mobbing through the city slow. While mission is for bitches, so off to my bellow.
Also on this album is a track with Nyke Loc, Dez, and Vamp Dogg called That's What I'm Saying.
That's what I'm saying. Watch your back in the 9-5 fools ain't playing. Got stay strapped in on my high, that's what I'm saying. Pop the cap off the shit, cause I take a right. Hot sight from last night, and so starts another day. Light up that doja, dangin', that shit be stankin', banging off into Easy Market. Hopped out to cut and park it. Seen some niggas I knew from 10 and 2 Avenue, just striking through, hitting up that W-E-S-T. Because none of y'all can compete with the Mile High Hitman gunning from 50 to 80 feet. 40 thieves, G's, but PAC still running it. Hip hop like a rich nap, doing everything them niggas was bumping it. West side of Aurora, Colorado was for the niggas who's coming real and busters getting they dogs peeled. And for the motherfuckers that got beef, they still ain't spoke up. You got heat, I got heat, now let's see this motherfucker that fold up. It's a top authority thing, pumping in my brain. I hats popping, got nigga pumped that 17 on his ass when I dumped. Body bagging and tagging his toes. After the killing, then I'm jacking his D's or bros. It's just a come up, using those 3 cents to make them dollars. Every nigga I know when I roll, I'll go on the 6-4 Impala. SS's and Lexus, MCs and Cougarvilles, Grand Prix for G's. For the getaway, I don't do wheels. Roll around high tech on deck, shiny ass chrome. Got niggas booking gunshots, kill all noise when the tray 576 start whooping.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I got my strap in my lap and a joint in my mouth.
Both of these tracks right here really do show a heavy West Coast influence to the sound on it right there. And, you know, for me to be able to listen to it and run it back now in 2024, you know, I still think it's pretty good music though, you know what I mean? You know, it reminds me of that era, you know what I mean? It reminds me of that era right there, that sound, that whole 9 right there. And, you know, for a lot of you young cats, y'all probably don't realize, but that sound right there influenced some of your favorite artists, you know, probably influenced some of your favorite artists who now are your favorite artists, you know what I mean? It's that far back in the game, because I got to remind myself sometimes, like, man, we in 2024, you know, the 90s, man, that shit was a long time ago. But to me, in my mind, it still feel like yesterday, because it was some of the highlight years from my life, though, you feel me? But nonetheless, this right here allowed Nyke Loc to move forward, and ultimately Nyke Loc created Str8 Chek'n Records. The first Str8 Chek'n Records release was a 5-song maxi single called The Hitman. The first Str8 Chek'n release was a 5-song single called The Mile High Hitman, and this came out in 1996. And just off the strength of word of mouth, it ended up selling over 1,000 copies. And this, back in the day, you gotta remember, cars and people listened to music on tapes and CDs. You know, this wasn't the time where you could just get on the internet and upload your album and then get on Facebook and post. Now, like, you really had to have your name ringing in the streets, or you really had to be on the ground, you know, going hand to hand, you know what I mean? Really moving around. You really had to hustle. This is a hustle like a lot of y'all cat. This is probably why Colorado and Denver don't blow up, because the hustle is missing out there and has been for a long time. But artists like Nyke Loc, they definitely hit the pavement and definitely got a buzz. And I remember when I first heard of Nyke Loc, you know what I mean? The name, just his name alone stood out to me, you know what I mean? Nyke Loc. And this is back when everybody was cripping, though. Everybody was a crip back in the day around this time. And, you know, you heard that name Nyke Loc and you thought about, you know, I thought about the shoe, right? You think about the swoosh, Nike, like Nyke Loc, the shoe, right? Nyke Loc. And when I heard that name, I was like, damn, I was intrigued. I got to hear that shit. Like, what is that? Back in the day, Easy Mart off of Colfax used to be like the Compton swamp meet almost, you know what I mean? You walk in there and they sold everything. They sold clothes, they sold speakers for the car, but in the way back they had an audio section that had music, you feel me? They had CDs, they had like pictures of rappers autographed that had came through the town. And this is where I first really seen the Mile High Hitman. The cover was hard as ever. It had Nyke Loc and he was squatted down by like an old school car on some D's. And for y'all that don't know what D's are Daytons, you know, synonymous with the word Yenas, you know what I mean? Because the people that used to ride on Daytons back in the day, you know what I mean? They used to be the ones that was balling. They used to be the drug dealers, but you know, it wasn't nothing like seeing them spokes glisten in the sunlight, whether they was chrome ones or whether they was all gold or they was center gold. You know, nothing was like seeing them Daytons and seeing that sunlight hit him. And I remember seeing that cover, he was squatted down and there was a sense of a feeling, you know, the Mile High Hitman. Here's a rapper coming out of my, you know what I mean? The city that I'm from. You know, it's hard to put the feeling into words while I make this video, but it was a good feeling, you know what I mean? And it really intrigued me. And when I heard the album, it was cool though. It was a short CD.
Coming up, trying to make some papers, man. Do what you gotta do. Make the move. Coming up in this motherfucker. Trying to make some skrill. Ducking, dodging. Trying to keep it on the real. So check some shit out. A nigga did it all. Drank folks so dope and hit the whip. And chase down robbers on the hot speed. A criminal from the set could never lose. That nigga Nyke Loc had to pay his dues. At a young age, a nigga ran with the wrong crowd. Lil Loak watching my uncles getting smoked out off that shit called Doja Dank, and it had me thinking how that shit be feeling. And that's what made it appealing. Now I'm addicted, but to me it's hella cool. Cause after all that getting smoked, I still completed high school. But nowadays jobs don't pay unless you got college skills. So I hit the block to pay my bills. Chill like any nigga would. I stood on the block clocking. Bought a half-ounce of powder, so I start rocking it. Them baby jars, riding in dopey rental cars. Pockets filled with Franklins, I wasn't balling but banking. Kept a 8-shot Lawson on my waist for the drama. If they're static, I'm dumping and that's on my mama. Nothing studio about me, I was all in it. From banging to slanging, the nigga always representing. For those who trip, catch the whole clip of the Bombay with the red beam that can be seen from a mile away.
And if a fool get in your way, you leave them bucks. Sometimes you gotta lay niggas down to make your come up.
For those who trip, catch the whole clip of the Bombay with the red beam that can be seen from a mile away.
And if a fool get in your way, you leave them bucks. Sometimes you gotta lay niggas down to make your come up.
At the time, I really wasn't too aware of who the production was by. I just knew the sound was hard as ever. And you know, later on I came to find out that the majority of the production was done by Boo, aka Boozilla, who is another Denver, Colorado pioneer legend in the game, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but Boozilla is very responsible for making some of that sound for like Sibo, Doja Click, You know, he actually has an album called Full Fledged Member, which at one point in time I'm hoping to get a video out on him at some point. But you know, Boozilla had this mob sound. He did Killer Tay stuff, and the beats was so hard though. I mean, like the beats was so hard.
Well, to my folks in the D, you know what I'm saying, 303. Nigga Boozilla on the track. Fucking them up.
Mr. Mafia.
Long story short, Boozilla ended up doing a lot of production on Nyke Loc's second album, which is The Hit List. Now, The Hit List contains some of the songs that came on the Mile High Hitman, being that the Mile High Hitman was only 5 tracks. But you know, when the Mile High Hitman dropped, it was definitely a classic and very recognized throughout the city. You know, the cover on this, on the original one, is hard as ever. You know, it showed Nyke Loc, you know, it showed him in the avalanche, you know, it showed him in the whole, everything represented Colorado when you seen the cover. And there's a second pressing of this album, and it has a different cover of Nyke Loc sitting in the studio. I don't know why bro ever changed up the cover, because that first cover is unfuckwittable. There ain't nothing like that original Nyke Loc cover. But on this album right here, the Hit List, this was a long, full-length album right here. And boy, this one has some bangers on it right here. And once again, Zebu Boozilla, he was the producer behind majority of the cuts on there. But the album has a list that reads out pretty long. Some of the tracks on that album are All About Game, We Clown Those, Come Kick It.
Heard the word, there's a party up at Del Mar. Impalas, SS's, MCs, and Skylarks. Fill the parking lot, look left and smell some bud. And deuce deep in the Chevy with mean mugs. My partner Zebu, mobbing through with Big Mike. Pull to the curb and come blaze with your partner. Just throw your hands up in the sky if you wanna kick it with them gangsters from Mile High. Cause the world is the place where we got to stay splitted. So won't you come kick it? Come kick it in the city where niggas see tripping and steady dipping on gold and chrome. And when you leave home, pack your heater back.
1,000,001 Ways, Kingpinning. One of my favorites right here is For the Revenues.
Things people do to make their money. The revenue. Sometimes it just ain't right. The revenue. These souls are slowly dying. The revenue. So now we've got to make things right.
And now that I'm getting older, the streets done got colder. And I feel it's time to settle. No more club hopping and dodging metal. Got a baby girl to support. Can't come up short in these streets. Like some of my homies resting in peace. Shit won't cease when your cash is stacking. Cause fools be acting like they hustle. Ain't got enough muscle to keep it cracking. So they jacking. Ballers on sight to get their grip right. Dating some foes. Bring bullet holes when your shit tight. Creeping through the night with heaters. They didn't see us. Coming from behind, a quick blast. Now that cash is mine. Hard to find the road to riches without the obstacles to set up holes and suck.
And ultimately, another song on here that always, when I hear it, I don't know, it just gives me the chills when I hear it. It's called Let Off. It's the last song on the album.
Dap to that nigga Drake, cause he was telling the truth though. When how could I die when I'm shooting from the roof? So watch your back when the criminal was stepping. And duck, dodge from semi-automatic weapons. 9 Glocks to 2 for a criminal on the loose. Never grabbing a noose, cause if I'm giving out bullet holes, how could I lose? Thinking the thought that nigga that's like it's down a vein with him. But they came hella deep, so I'm leaving stains in them. I gotta go, cause ammo is on the empty, nigga. And ain't Nathan worse than your finger on an empty trigger. Click, click. With the Glock, so I step sideways to the next light was the process. A nigga wasn't getting killed, so I stepped to the left, cause for fakers, I'm just too real to deal with, cause I'm the body bagger. Just pass Twizz the 10 gauge and watch these fools scatter. Let off on these niggas, I'm going hitting switches with 17 shots, breaking fools for they riches. Let off on these niggas, I'm going hitting switches with 17 shots.
And boy, this album right here is harder than ever though, right here. This is a hard ass album. This album, The Hit List, dropped in 1997 and definitely gained a lot of respect even out of Colorado. Back in the day, there used to be a few states like, you know, Oklahoma, Kansas, you know, like little sections that really you know, listen to the West Coast, the Bay, and all that stuff right there, you know. And this album was recognized even out in California and all them areas right there. This Nyke Loc really set the standard for Denver, Colorado, the whole nine, to really be respected when it came to some gangster music though, because the whole clique between Nyke Loc, Boozilla, the MNLD, Minority, all these artists right here, you know, really they were really respected by their peers in the rap game back then. And the hit list is a classic. Nobody can ever debate this with me at all, that Nyke Loc, the Mile High Hitman, the EP, and Nyke Loc's hit list are Denver classics, Aurora classics. And Nyke Loc literally is one of the first rappers really to put on for Aurora. You know, I can't think of any other rappers that put on for Aurora like Nyke Loc did at the time, because there was really more rappers from Denver like BHP and Brothers Most Wanted and all the other ones we've covered, you know, in other videos. But Nyke Loc was one of the first ones to really come out and represent Aurora. And he can be seen on the back of the hit list actually standing next to the Welcome to Aurora sign. I mean, he put on, I mean, nobody can dispute that. He's one of the first rappers to really put on for Aurora, unlike any other ones. But Nyke Loc ultimately with Str8 Chek'n Records later went on to put out a few other artists such as Vamp, Dogg, Dez, who we talked about had the real distinct voice. He also dropped a Str8 Chek'n compilation at one point in time that had a list of all the other ones. Now, the hit list would go on to sell over 2,000 units within its first year locally of its release, and that's major for a local artist, especially back in those times right there. You think about it, and you know, if anybody's from Denver, you know Denver, you know the population, you know the metro region. So you think about it, the man sold over 2,000 units by himself without a distribution deal or any of that stuff right there, just in the local metro section alone. Back when, you know, really there wasn't a lot of rappers, or everybody wasn't a rapper. This ain't 2000. This ain't none of that 2000 stuff where, you know, your grandpa, your cousin, your uncle, your baby brother, and your niece's newborn, right? They all rappers, right? They coming out the womb as a rapper. They got a chain, a beanie, and some more shit, and they rapping, right? They goo gaga, right? Nah, he sold over 2,000 units locally. So shout out to Nyke Loc though. Shout out to Nyke Loc for that independent hustle and laying down the blueprint for a lot of local artists that came behind him and picked up on the wave that he put down for the local section. Shout out to Nyke Loc for the Hustler of the Year back then, because 2,000 units on that one right there, that's major. Nyke Loc's third album, which would be his biggest project, came out around 2000. So about 3 to 4 years in between the Mile High Hitman album, and between that, I believe he had signed one of the groups that a lot of people sleep on as well, called the A-Town Clique. And now the A-Town Clique consisted of Julox and Lil Rip. And Lil Rip used to bust, and so did Julox. And Julox was a staple back in the day around at like Angelo's and stuff like that. But Julox had a real distinct voice as well. And I feel like he came out of Mississippi. And I'm not sure whatever happened to Julox, but ultimately, Nyke Loc's album came out in 2000. It was called Mob Life. And this album right here came out and had all the glitz and glamour. It had the cover work was done by Pen and Pixel, I believe, who also did a lot of like No Limit and all their stuff back in the day. And this album right here, I mean, from the cover, you could see that, you know, he was putting on for the city. You could see Denver in the background. He had like the New Orleans kind of streets, but ultimately you could see the city skyline in the background. And with this album right here, when this album came out, it had a lot of tracks on there too. But I mean, from the first track on this album right here called Load Up Around, I mean, he went straight in on this one right here. I mean, straight busting.
Kicking back with my feet up, counting up G's from my last tape. Why these bitch ass niggas starve? Because they choose to hate. That's why I keep it straight, checking for sheets. There ain't no limits to my hustle when I ride for cheese. Guaranteed to make your eardrums bleed. Thought they knew why these niggas try to solve my crew and try to leave me through.
First it was dip on the run for bank robbery. DC called a case, but they still ain't stopping me. Concocted a plan, got loot up in my hand, expand, and now they bump me from New York to the land. The hitman ain't gon' never quit. Keep dumping hella shit, certified, never counterfeit. Keep coming up with hits, and even without the distribution, they gon' still be bumping me in Houston, keeping my units moving.
But this album also featured some artists and some production on here from like the legendary DJ Fame did some work on here. Killer Tay is on a couple tracks. Killer Tay is actually on one of the hardest songs on here called Addicted to Scratch.
Living plush is what I'm stacking for. And you a damn fool if you ain't about your capital. Everyday fashion show from polo to pale to pale. Guess FUBU, fuck heel, figure hop in the low and hit the road with my real niggas. Hands on the trigger, come quicker to bust when we kick dust. That's why your bitch jockin', we keep it poppin' when we slip up. Wanna suck a nigga dick up. And now you hatin', but you know I keep game lacing with vocal conversation. Spread my hustle across the nation, and now my pockets got the mumps. Nyke Loc off those smoke, guarantee that shit that bumps. And stacking loot and lumps is what I'm about. And here's the middle finger for your fake niggas that doubt. We on a money mission, deep in this game, fuck the famous, either death or prison. Out for my mail, wash my tail in this thug living.
We ride strapped with Max, it ain't no turning back, addicted to scratch. Real G,
we on a money mission.
Another hard track on here that every time I hear it, I gotta knock it. It never gets old to me. And this song is called Suspicious.
Stop beeping. Got a funny feeling that baby girl just might be cheating and creeping off with the next. Why did she do this to me? I guess he was cashing bigger checks and pushing around in a Lexus. I didn't expect that she would shake me, but I should've known by the way you've been acting lately. Knowing I'm on the road trying to get my ends, but you was thinking that I'm out tricking with my friends. Thought you was down to the end, shaking them groupie hoes, cause I know that when a nigga get home, it's fins to be on for sure. Little did I know that baby girl was doing her thing while a nigga making cash in the lanes. Made me wanna blow her brains, but I can't catch a domestic. Fuck around and get arrested. No matter how many times the homie stressed it, I handcuffed the hoe, and now she showed me the deal. How a woman wants your time, not your skrill. So now I feel.
I've been wondering what you do when I'm not with you. You stay true. Do you stay true?
The album also features Boozilla, Nyke Loc, Twizz Loak, Vamp, Dogg, and there's another song on here with Killer Tay, but I still feel like the hardest one is that Addicted to Scratch by all means. But with this album right here, it had the power to really go big, and I'm sure that a lot of rap collectors and people into that West Coast stuff really got a hold of the album and really felt the album, and it made a little bit of noise. But ultimately with this album right here, the distribution company that Nyke Loc was working with filed bankruptcy, and he never got paid from the distribution company, and they sold a lot of his CDs that he never actually got paid for. And I think it really made it hard for him to push the album like he wanted to. Therefore, the album kind of fizzled out. But it was a great album by all means. It just didn't really have the promotion. And we all know without any promotion behind a fire album, it's only gonna be word of mouth that pushes it. So I'm not sure how many albums this one sold, but I know that ultimately this album right here, it should have took Nyke Loc further than what it did, in my opinion. But my research to the album, I guess not only did the distribution company go bankrupt, but this is around the same time that a lot of them cats from MNLD caught that indictment, and I'll do a video on that down the road as well. But Boozilla was one of them, the producer. They all got indicted and ended up going to the feds for a little while. And Nyke Loc's brother is also a producer, his little brother that is, and his little brother's name is Mohit. If you're from Denver, you're very familiar with Mohit. Mohit is very legendary to the Denver rap scene as well, and has produced a lot of beats, and he's did his thing over the years. He still does do his thing right there, but ultimately this third album, Mob Life, right here, you know, it didn't reach the heights that it should have reached. This was actually the last Nyke Loc album that I actually got a chance to really, you know, really slap to the best of my abilities, because I ended up getting incarcerated myself in 2003, and I didn't get out till 2014. So between that time, Nyke Loc released a whole bunch of albums right there, compilations, and Nyke Loc ultimately released one of the first movies, DVDs, to my knowledge, from the town though, from Denver, period, point blank.
We got that new DVD release coming, Hustle and Timing, the movie. It's like the first movie from the city, man. Urban film, I think, you know.
And I feel like he's did more than one movie, but I had to do a little bit more research. I'm not sure as I record this video, but I know he's one of the first ones to ever do a movie and a DVD that came from Denver. Now Nyke Loc does majority of producing, to my knowledge. He had a double album, I feel it was. Either it was a double or a triple not that long ago, called Nyke Nitty on the Slap, and it had various album covers, and it had one of the bangers on there that had Eastside Jewy and a couple other cats on there, but it was called No Games. And
E for days, E Productions.
It's Mike Nitty on the slap.
I want to find a thing. So ain't no games being played. Want the fortune, you can have the fame. Blowing on good, man, I be counting it up. Holding it down. I be rolling it up. Feeling good as I ride through the town. Yeah.
Count money like a bank teller. I ain't saying shit, I let the bank teller. Right. Everything feeling good. Mr. Rogers, rolling in my neighborhood. 5 points, Weldon Street, we niggas lit.
And that right there is a summer anthem. So this is just like a brief history on Nyke Loc, Str8 Chek'n Productions, Str8 Chek'n Records, and all that. I just wanted to make this video to inspire y'all to go check out his music. If you're from Denver, it's just a little bit of history, a little bit of knowledge behind some of the OGs, the forefathers that really paved the way for, you know, Denver rap to be what Denver rap is. And being that a lot of the old school cats, the older guys that really, you know, BHP and some of these cats, like, you know, they ain't around no more. They ain't putting out music. They may be around, but they riding real low to the pavement, you feel me? But Nyke Loc is still out there. So Nyke Loc is one of the longest running artists from Denver that's still in the game right now, that's still producing, still got himself out there, still making videos. And, you know, shout out to 8 to Skate, Clearview, Sean over at Clearview Videos, because all the footage, all the videos right there, these are all pulled from him. I'm gonna put a link in the description right there. Y'all can go check out Clearview Videos. Sean is one of the longest running video producers, and he's worked with all the who's. And if you wanna catch up on some Denver rap and see some Denver videos, y'all need to go to their page, check it out. It spans back 15, 16, 17 years right there. So, you know, go show him some love, go peep out they shit right there. And, you know, let me know what y'all thoughts is down in them comments below, man. Was y'all already hip to Nyke Loc before this? What's y'all's first memory of Nyke Loc, if y'all remember it though? If you've already hip to him, what was your first Nyke Loc song that y'all heard? And if not, man, get up on them, show some love in the comments right there. You made it this far in the video, smash that like button. And if you ain't subbed up right now, you sleeping on the channel, because this is what I do right here. I bring these type of videos on a regular basis. So hit that sub button and show some love. But till the next one, y'all, I'm out.
Nyke Nitty, man. Another vet from the town, you know what I'm saying? Boy, when Nyke first came out, man, like, I don't know, in my eyes, Nyke to me really was the first gangster rapper that I actually heard from Colorado. Yeah, that shit was crazy. Everybody in the town was fucking with Nyke. He had a commercial, you know what I'm saying, that was promoting Hit List. You know, he had a little commercial on BT, so shit, you know, at that time, you know, that shit was that shit was kind of big, you know what I mean? And just from the commercial and just from his swag at that point, I was like, shit, I gotta hear what this dude talking about, man.
I heard Nyke, he had the lyrics, and he had the production, and he had a CD that was retail ready, shrink wrapped in plastic.
Then I went down south, my cousin introduced me to the south side of Springs. I'm from the Springs, I ain't even from Denver. He was ringing all the way out here. I'm like, so who hot out here? Who do it out here? Who get it? Niggas was like, well, the Springs didn't really have nobody back then. First name people spelled was Nyke Loc.